Our contributions in education will be our legacy in this industry.
Whether it's through live education or maybe through social media, we're always trying to make a personal connection with you, the learner.
At Sanvia, we believe our smile is our business card and our personality is our logo. And how we make people feel after you experience our education and tools is our trademark.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us.
Join us, my friends, and be a part of the Sanvia community.
All right, welcome back to Wednesday. Welcome to Wellness Wednesday. I'm your host, Andrew Carruthers, Education Director for Sanvia. I've noticed we've got some people from all over the world already saying hello in the chats. We've got every corner of the United States. We've got Indiana, Oklahoma, Texas, South Carolina, Boston, lots from South Carolina. We've got Nova Scotia in the house. We've got Newfoundland. Man, so many cool things happening. So if you haven't yet, show us in the chat where you're from. We'd love to hear where you're watching from. Today, we've got a great guest. I'll get to that in just a moment. But before we go there, just want to touch on what we have coming up, because as always, you guys know we have tons of education headed your way. So next Monday, you've got me filling in for Mannequin Monday with Sammy. We're going to be talking about ergonomics because we feel it's so incredibly important that we take great care of our bodies. And so pretty much the whole focus on Monday is going to be how to just have better ergonomics when you're cutting, blow drying, working with hair, just so you have a really long life behind the chair, at the chair. Then we have our good friend, Manda Ziegelman. She's joining us for Transformation Tuesday. She's going to be doing some rock and roll hair. You can see by that picture there, that second picture in, she is a rock and roller. She is so cool. We're going to have a blast with her. Our good friend Steve Gomez is coming back on Wellness Wednesday. He's going to be talking about certain leadership in uncertain times, which is going to be very valuable for many of us. And then following that, we actually have our Skills Up training. So for those of you that don't know what Skills Up is, it is exclusive training for students at the cosmetology schools that are our partner schools. Now, we do have the ability for some people to come in and visit with us on those just to get to know what we're doing within our school program. You can contact kurt@sanvia.com if you are interested in that. So that's what we got coming up. Oh, yeah, and I got to show you this just because it's so cool. We've got our new limited edition Midnight Blue series coming out tomorrow. So don't miss that. If you're into cool colors, you're going to dig that. So our friend that's on with us today, she is everything because she is a hairdresser. She is a salon owner. She's a Reiki practitioner. She is an intuitive coach. She does all kinds of cool mystical stuff. She's just super cool. She's perfect guest for us for Wellness Wednesday because, like I said, she has all those things in her background, but also she has that foundation of hairdressing. So she's going to be someone for you to definitely connect with. So let's bring her on, our friend, Miss Kelli Mason. Hi, Kelli.
Hi, Andrew. Thanks so much for having me. Hi, everybody.
So, Kelli, you just actually kind of got back from the salon, right? Like you had a busy day at the salon.
Yeah, I literally just got home. Probably like all of you. It's like, wow, it's a different world out there. But yeah, I just got done working behind the chair. I have a salon here in Michigan. So now I'm at home because that's what we do now, right? We're at home.
Yeah, definitely. That is what we do. Yeah. We've got lots of people just checking in and saying hello. We've got, again, just kind of from all over. We've got Holland, Ontario, Scotland, Puerto Rico, Smoky, California. Yeah, Cali. Holy crap. Like, especially in that Sonoma area.
Hey, Rachel. Hi, Stephanie.
Heck?
I see people I
So,
know.
heart
Hello.
out to you guys. But yeah, we got lots of people. Bernadette, hey, what's up? We've got lots of regulars, like Diane's here. She's a regular. Bernadette, she's always with us. So yeah, very cool. So Kelli, I would love for you to just kind of share, either you can share something that is, interesting about yourself, or even just like what you're present with at this moment.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. I love hanging out with hairdressers. A little bit about me. I'm a hairdresser. I've been an educator for probably 10 years or so, maybe even longer than that. Oh my gosh. It's like when people are like, how long have you been doing hair? And you're like, I have no idea. Forever.
Yeah. Always.
Yeah. I was started off as a hairdresser, became an educator probably about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. Loved that, traveled all over, saw Sam and Andrew at the booth as I'm, working on the stage next door when I used to do shows and stuff. And currently, what I'm currently present with is my business called Limitless Soul. And it brought me to this present moment through hairdressing. It's so funny because, and I know all of you who are behind the chair still or educating or teaching can so relate to everything I'll probably say today. But that foundation of communicating and connecting with clients and other hairdressers really led me to where I am now, which is sharing metaphysical practices and personal development tools with creative entrepreneurs. So I'm not only working with hairdressers, which is so cool. I'm working with people who are artists and musicians and people who are making like cool stuff out of like macrame or recycled materials. I mean, we have so many people in our community that are doing wild stuff. And it's a really big passion of mine to bring different industries together and different creatives together so that we can help each other, support each other, and know that we're all kind of the same at the depths of our soul when we're creatives and we're helping other people. There's so much more in common we have than not. So it's been a really fun joy to do that through my podcast, Limitless Soul. You can find it everywhere. We've got almost 100 episodes, so lots of stuff to listen to there.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. Her podcast is fantastic. So definitely you guys want to tune into that.
Yeah, and you can check Andrew out on there. He's got a great episode.
That's right.
You can check it out. And then I do some intuitive mentorship, and pretty much what that means is I work with energy, I work with crystals, I work with spiritual practices that I've learned from my teachers in yoga and Kriya, all different kinds of modalities and Reiki, as Andrew said. And I've put all that together to work with other people who are interested in figuring out how to express themselves, how to get that stuff inside of you that's there that wants to come out. And we just get in our own way. So I've been having a great time doing that and also still doing hair. And I'm a mom.
Yeah. I don't really understand how you find time for all this stuff because I just have dogs. Like I don't even have children and I don't even do half the stuff you do. Like I don't still do hair in the salon every day. And I still don't feel like I have enough time in the day. So you're like my get shit done hero.
If anyone is into astrology, I'm a Capricorn sun, Capricorn Mercury, and I'm just like, I just like to do things, and it brings me joy and it makes me feel good to express and connect and see things manifest. So I've turned all of that, like my passion for creating, into business so that I can help other people figure that out if they're maybe a little stuck. And everybody's different, right? Like some of my friends are like, oh my God, like your life sounds like a nightmare to me because you never chill out. And I'm like, I'm chilling out right now. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, I'm fine. But yeah, I love creating. I love people. I love how, as a hairdresser, we love getting these ideas in our head, whether it's like a new cool haircut or like a new color, and then to see it come to life is like the best. And to do that and transfer that into seeing other people realize their own greatness and their own truth and see that manifest into whatever kind of creation they're wanting to bring to life is like the most joy in my life. So
that's awesome. Yeah. We were, my friend Carlo Novoa, he was on probably about a month or so ago, and he was talking about how hairdressing just is this gateway for so many people into these other modalities and stuff. And it's such a natural thing, I think, for hairdressers to find themselves into wellness, because that's kind of what we do. Like, yeah, we do it in a very physical way, but just that connection that we have with our guests and that physical touch and all of that, it's such a natural transition into wellness, I think.
Totally. Yeah. One of my friends, her name's Andy Scarborough, and she creates crystal combs for hair.
Yeah.
So many
her stuff is super cool.
And started using them in ceremonies for hair. And one of the things she always says is we're the super sleeper cell ninjas of like spirituality, because we always have had this gift of intuition. We've always had this gift of connection and really helping people feel really great about themselves, whether we knew we were working with energy or not. But I like to make it really simple for people, because it can get a little bit like, well, I don't know anything about meditation. I don't know anything about energy or Reiki, or what are you even talking about? Like, just think about your thoughts, and thoughts are this most simple way to express energy. A thought is energy. And then once we act on it, we believe in it, which we're going to talk about today a little bit. That's how we create. And so it creates our reality to tap into those thoughts and become aware of them. And once you start doing that behind the chair, it just becomes so much fun. Like, being a hairdresser is so different when you look at it like, oh my gosh, like I have magic coming out of my hands, and I'm observing yourself and how cool what we do is. And there's a really huge reason why other people are so attracted to hairdressers. Like, yes, we're cool. We wear like hats and we can all have tattoos and stuff like that. But the energy that we're giving, like knuckle tattoos, like what other profession is it like cool and acceptable and also expected to have a knuckle tattoo?
Yeah, I think you kind of have to, right, at this point.
Yeah, it's like, it's an initiation. Gotta get on it. But yeah, it's so cool that we have a special gift. And I think that a lot of us find hairdressing through some experiences we've had in our lives, which is like a huge call to help other people. It goes way beyond the scissors and the great color. It's there's definitely some depth there.
Yeah, I think if you ask most hairdressers why they became hairdressers, service is something that will probably come up for most. So.
Yeah, for sure. Unless you're like a really crazy egotistical one or something, you're just like, I want to be the star. I'm like, what?
Yeah, I really don't care.
But yeah, we definitely at the core of it just want to take care of people, and it makes us feel good that other people feel good.
Yeah. Definitely. So when we connected about this Wellness Wednesday episode, we just kind of asked like, okay, well, what's very passionate for you right now? And it was a pretty quick answer that you gave me. It was that this kind of challenging our belief systems. And so that's what we're going to kind of tap into today. So, and you kind of mentioned that you had an experience today where you in real time had to challenge your belief systems.
Yeah. And as we kind of continue this conversation, I wanted to share with you all a quick meditation, a quick recentering to bring yourself back into the present moment when your thoughts start running away with you. Like they did for me today, because I was telling Andrew before we hopped on here, I'm a colorist. So typically I'm like, 2-hour blocks of time, and I'm working on color, and then I'm cutting, and I'm doing the whole experience. And today I had 6 back-to-back haircuts, and I know you all can relate to this. And it's like, wow, after like haircut after haircut after haircut after haircut, I was like, I am exhausted and I don't want to do this anymore. And I caught myself. And because I practice mindfulness so much in meditation, I'm pretty aware of my thoughts, and I'm pretty aware of when I'm being real moody, or I'm emitting something that's maybe not going to be received well on the other end. Like, I don't want a client to pick up the fact that I'm thinking in my head, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, isn't that the worst nightmare? Like, my hairdresser is coming at me with scissors, like, So very quickly I knew and became aware that belief system of, because I started buying into it. I started to start to create a belief around my myself being pulled away from the present moment and getting tired, and buy into that belief that I am going to do a bad job now because I'm tired and I'm not going to be fully present. And that's when it starts to go like, do they even like their haircut? Did I mess it up? And you're thinking about it at night and you're laying in bed, is when we can't flip that script really quickly. So in a little bit, I'll share with you a little technique as we get into this chat.
Yeah, for sure. So why do you feel like it's such an important topic? Like, why was it such like a kind of pretty fast connection when I asked what you wanted to focus on? Why was belief systems such a potent thing for you?
Yeah, so the reason I started my podcast in the first place, it used to be called Limitless Hairdresser. And that's what I started out as. And as the show developed and I started sharing what I really was talking about and the depths of it, so many people were reaching out to me like, I wish I could like be a part of your community, but I'm not a hairdresser. Or I wish I could like listen. And I'm like, wait, you can. No, stay. And I realized I was speaking to people's souls. And I was speaking to that core of the humanness that we are. And the reason I started Limitless Hairdresser was because I realized the belief systems that were surrounding a lot of hairdressers that I was meeting. And as I was traveling around the country and teaching balayage classes and connecting with other people, there's so many belief systems of, I wish I could do what you're doing, or I'll never be able to do that because I just live in the Midwest, or, you know, I'd love to do New York Fashion Week, but I don't even know where to get started. I don't know. It's probably not for me. You know, these people are so great. That's why they get to do it. And it's like, oh my God. And I just want to be everybody's hype woman. So I'm like, listen, you know, and at first when I started all this, I was very like, I want to help everyone and everyone needs to know their worth and their value. And I went like crazy. And I started to realize that it was all structured around belief systems, and that whatever we've brought in from our culture, our surroundings, our parents, our experiences was programming our unconscious mind, our subconscious, that is always running in the background. It's how we can drive a car and how we can ride a bike. And we don't have to think about like, push my foot on the pedal, let it off, turn signal. Like you're just driving and you're just singing a song. And so a lot of these belief systems that were in the background of so many hairdressers' minds were so limiting. And I thought, there's so much opportunity for us. Like, we can do anything we want to do. And I live in Michigan, literally like over here, kind of in the middle of like not anywhere, not LA, not New York. And
Can I just say, that's one of my favorite things that people from Michigan can do. I'm from here. I just think that's the coolest thing ever.
It is.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just love that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I started reflecting on my own life and wondering, like, how did I do these things? Because everyone told me, oh, you're going to need to move to LA if you want to work at, you know, doing these kinds of things with media and such, or you're going to have to move to New York if you're going to want to do Fashion Week. And I was like, I will not. And I also will prove you wrong because I'm very like that. Yeah. And so I did, and I co-led a bunch of shows at New York Fashion Week. I worked on supermodels' hair. I did Miss Universe's hair. I did all kinds of crazy stuff. I was in DVDs for a hair care company. I'm like, and I don't talk about it very often because I don't know. I was just like, what's next? Like on to the next thing. But I started to unpack how I did it and why. And it was because my belief systems, I was just constantly challenging my belief systems. And if someone told me it wasn't possible, I would go, well, why do they believe it's not possible? What is it that is so limiting about this that it's can't be reality? So I started to unpack that, and that led me down a whole rabbit hole to start sharing it with everybody on a podcast. But yeah, that was my experience, was that in order to not buy into this truth that other people were telling me, I needed to reprogram what ones were limiting me from from doing the things that my heart was telling me I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephanie just mentioned she would hear the same about Newfoundland, and she's just said she's all about the challenge. So that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's a really common thing that we get asked within our company too. Is like, oh man, like I'd love to be a teacher for Zambia someday, but I just live in this little town and work at this little salon. And it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's unconscious that programming exists. They don't even hear what's coming out of their mouth, which is really, in the way they should say it, is, I believe I can't do that because ... But their subconscious is basically telling them it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
And so how do people start to recognize that? Because that's probably kind of the first thing that people need to do, right? Is to start to become aware of those belief systems.
Yeah, awareness is by far the jumping off point, I guess, if you will. And just becoming aware of it without judging yourself is also very important, because we can be so hard on ourselves, and we're like, oh my gosh, like I'm thinking all these negative things about myself. Am I a bad person? And no, you're not. It's very human. We all do it. But observing, and I think becoming aware of it is definitely first, and having the willingness to, because sometimes we don't want to believe that we are doing these things to ourselves. Like we want to blame other people, or we want to blame other things or circumstances, and turning it back on ourselves and taking accountability really helps to uncover what things are lurking in the background. And there's a couple different ways that belief systems appear. We have them about ourselves, obviously, about, do I feel like I'm confident, or do I feel like I am capable, or do I feel like I am, good enough? And a lot of times people might say, like, I know I don't feel like I'm good enough to do that, our insecurities that might come up about ourselves, but also what we believe about others and how others perceive us. That's something that I have just started really digging into, is like, what do I believe other people think about me?
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. Like, what do I believe that other people are thinking about who I am? And do I care? And do I actually take that into consideration all the time? I know there's probably, like, where's the people pleasers in the house? It's probably a lot of us. Yeah, right? Like, we want everybody.
Me, big time.
And so there can be belief systems around that. And then the I guess what's so important about becoming aware of this and starting to shift it is that our belief systems create our reality, or our perceived reality. So everything we start believing in about ourselves, about what other people are thinking about us, or what we believe that we're appearing as, all affects, like, what salon we're at, or who we're around, or what opportunities show up. Like, is it a coincidence that I met Andrew and I'm here? And like, it gets a little bit like Twilight Zone-y when you start unpacking it all. You're like, it all happened on purpose because my belief systems align with your belief systems, and we're able to, in my more spiritual, energetic jargon, we're vibrating at a similar frequency. So we're able to kind of match what we want to be around and who we want to be around. And so a lot of times, like, hairdressers will say, like, I'm at this salon and everyone's negative and I want to be positive and I'm so this. And so really slowing down and becoming aware, well, what is actually playing in the background? Maybe in your foreground, you're like, I'm confident, I'm amazing, I've got this. But in the background, you have doubt, or, something that's holding you back because you're still in these situations. Yeah.
I just started getting into Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you ever read any of his stuff?
I haven't, but everybody keeps telling me to read that, so I'm going to have to dive into some of his work.
He's great for me because I love this place where the esoteric and the neuroscience kind of comes in together, and he's very scientific and basically talks about the science behind many things that these esoteric belief systems have always told us from here, forever. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you just said is so important because we get pretty good at kind of on the front, we put out these things like affirmations and positive sayings and all these things. But until we kind of check into that subconscious place, it's still just kind of surface. It's still just sort of like lipstick on the pig. That's what I always call our house that we have. It's just kind of very surface. And so, one of the things that you just mentioned that I think is so important is that we do have something that we can tap into, that more subconscious place, that we can start to shift that place too, because we can start saying things differently outside. We can start, like I said, writing affirmations and things like that. But that's not necessarily actually shifting things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And that's kind of the kicker with all of this is you can become aware of it and be like, oh, I'm thinking this thing, my subconscious, I know that this isn't who I am. This is just a story. But then what do you do with it? Like, do we choose to be aware of it and then move on to the next thing, and then it just gets left there and we forget about it until it happens again? Or do we take action on it and decide, like, right here and now, I'm going to shift this. I'm going to change this into something else. And I'm ready to do that. Mm-hmm. And so there's a big difference between writing an affirmation and embodying an affirmation.
I love that word. My wife and I were just barely talking about that word. That's like my favorite word in the planet. Embody.
Yeah, it's such a deep and very complex word, because to embody something means that you are being it. Like you are enveloping yourself in it, not just thinking it, but feeling it and carrying it, right? It's not just like, I'm going to try this shirt on. It's like, I'm going to put this shirt on and I'm going to wear it all day. Mm-hmm. Like we're
going to become the shirt.
I am the shirt.
Right.
And so with embodiment, we are allowing ourselves, our soul and our physical self to be connected. Mm-hmm. And to work with one another. So I kind of think about reprogramming the subconscious mind is becoming aware of it and then choosing what do I want that to be instead. Mm-hmm. And then consciously, almost like plugging in a software program, plugging that new thing into where the other one was. Right. And then that's how we embody it. So we're now kind of wearing it. We're trying it on. Yeah. And it's a practice. It's a constant practice. It's a coming back to, instead of just a one-time thing, which I think is why a lot of people give up on this, because it's consistency. And I'm actually in this creative writing workshop right now online, obviously. And one of the things that she keeps telling us, my creative writing teacher, about our work, because we're writing all these things. And I'm like, oh my God, am I a writer now? Like, I don't know. And she said, quantity versus quality. And I'm like, wait. No. Like, that's wrong.
Quality. No, that's not how the saying goes, teacher. I don't know if you heard this.
Like, wait, what are you talking about? And tell me over there, because you've heard this, right? Like, it's quantity versus quality. Quality versus quantity. Well, she's like, no, you have to get as much out there as possible so that you can see what's going on. Because if you try to sit there and perfect it, you're going to obsess over it and try to manipulate it, and your mind's going to want to control it, and you're going to get so in your way that you won't even get to see what's really happening, because our minds are so complex. So I kind of think about spiritual practice or connecting with yourself, reprogramming your belief systems. It's much more about quantity than it is quality. Like, you don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to get it right. Like, just keep doing it.
That's huge, Kelly. Like that's so important, because how many of you guys out there are like me and you kind of get stuck, just like you're saying, kind of almost like drilling on the same thing, like trying to perfect this one
Figure it out.
piece.
Fix it.
Yeah, like I'm so that way. And even within my coaching, like I'm in advanced coaching mentorship right now with some of my mentors. And one of the things within the coaching is I get really stuck sometimes on something within the coaching. So one of the big things they're helping me with is to like keep opening that space, like keep getting the space bigger and more open. Because when we see that kind of big picture, the little things start to kind of make them make a place for themselves in the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's just this isolated little thing, like, well, I'm going to focus on this one little minute piece and just put all my energy into it. Yeah, Corey just typed paralysis by analysis. That's exactly what happens. Like, you just get totally stuck.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Paralysis by analysis. Is that what he said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Seriously, it's like it can be so tunnel vision when we start to become aware. Like we were saying, that's probably the most important thing, is becoming aware, but then letting it go also. Like, don't harp on it so much that it becomes an obsession, and now you're actually so obsessed with this one thing that what are you doing? You're repeating it over and over and over again in your mind. So you're actually like embedding it
Right.
into yourself, and you're like, no, this isn't what I want to do. So it's kind of a crazy oxymoron. It's like, let it go, but fix it. Don't do anything, but do something.
Nice. Just for some of you guys that have just kind of joined us, this is our guest, Kelli Mason. Today we're talking about just looking at our belief systems, those things that they might be true, they might not be, who knows, but we have such a deep belief in those things, these stories that we kind of create, that they very heavily affect who we are and how we approach the world. So that's kind of the focus today, is talking about belief systems. So how do we, like, what are some of the processes that you take people through to start to identify those, to start to shift them?
Yeah. So like we were talking about, affirmations is probably the most simple thing for people to grasp and understand. And sometimes we see like really great Instagram quotes, and we see all these things, out there, positive affirmations and believe in yourself and you've got this and all this. The way that I've been trained to work with affirmations, and I use in a lot of therapies that I do with Reiki healing and energy healing, is very, very intentional and very, very specific wording. Because like we were talking about, our thoughts are so powerful and they hold energy and they create our reality. Our words are so powerful and potent that what we choose to say, we're now embodying. If we want to embody that and be that and become that, we have to act as if it's already happened, right? It has to be like, if you're in a bad mood, like my dumpy day today, where I'm like, I'm tired, I don't want to be here anymore, this is exhausting, I'm hungry, I'm in this space. Reprogramming that into something that is what I want to be, it can be a little hard, because proclaiming something as if it already is when you don't feel it yet is a little difficult. When you're like, I am fully supported to do my job with joy and I'm available for energy to move through me. Like, that's kind of hard to say when you're like, I'm exhausted, I can't do this, it's too hard. So I can walk you guys through if you'd like to. Does anybody want me to walk you through just like a really simple technique that you can use?
Yeah, of course.
Not crazy. It's very simple. Okay. So first of all, we're going to breathe, right? We forget to breathe. And when we're not breathing, we are pulling ourselves out of the present moment. Because if you think about holding your breath, you're like, your mind starts to go here or there. If you're focusing on your breath, you can pull yourself back into the present moment. So I'm just going to have you close your eyes and take a deep breath. And then let it out. Now you're breathing. And just take another deep breath. And then hold it. Keep holding it. Now let it out really slowly. Now just breathe normally without any restrictions, not trying to make it be perfect or go any specific way, just whatever rhythm feels good for you. And now you're in the present moment, focusing on that breath, noticing it, observing it, like we talked about, observing ourselves, observing what's going on in the present moment. And just focusing only on air coming in your nose and out your nose. Bringing yourself all the way here. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable to be here. Sometimes it's really uncomfortable to be in the present moment. Because you might notice now that a thought is coming in. Another thought. I'm kind of hungry. When is this going to be over? Should I open my eyes yet? Is anyone looking at me? I'm kind of thirsty. My hands are sweating. I'm not focusing on my breath. Better do that. So bring it back. Focusing in, breathing in, and breathing out. Super simple. So in the midst of your wild day where you're getting pulled in all directions, just simply doing this is step one. Becoming aware of yourself. Now see if you can catch a thought. If you can become aware of a thought. Okay, got one? Now notice, do you like that thought? Do you want to keep that thought? If it's yes, then you're like, yeah, I think I'll keep that one. If it's no, notice what isn't aligning for you about it. Does it make you feel bad in your body? Does it make you feel judgmental of yourself? Does it make you feel in your body uncomfortable or angry or something that isn't what you would like to feel? And then just notice if you can choose in that moment, what would you like it to be? What is the thought that you would like to have instead? And once you have that, bringing your focus back to your breath so you're in the present moment again. Kind of off in mind space for a minute, now coming back to your breath. And as you're breathing in and out, notice if you can, just try to repeat what you'd like that thought to be. And see if your mind will allow you to say, I am, and whatever that thought that you'd like to believe is. For me, I'll give you my example today. I kept saying, I'm exhausted and I don't want to be here. And so my body felt yucky and drudgy and heavy and sludgy. And I did not want that. But instead of continuing to say what I don't want, I had to say what I do want. So I said, I'm fully supported to do my job with joy, and I'm available for energy to move through me. And that's very clear and concise, but it's I am. And as you start to say that I am statement to yourself, I am fully supported. I am in the present moment. I am available to listen, whatever it might be for you. Just repeat that 3 to 5 times in your mind. See if you can feel that in your body now. instead of whatever it was that you wanted to let go of or change. See if you can relax into it, drop your shoulders, release any tension or resistance that's surrounding it. See if you can feel it light up in yourself. Perfect. Notice if your body changed, if you feel a little more tingly, if you feel like more relaxed, like something shifted. And then whenever you're ready, you can open up your eyes, come back into our room, and just notice with your eyes open now. How do I feel now? Does something feel different? Do I feel more present? Do I feel like, how did that just happen? What just happened to me? And see if something shifted. And if you'd like, you can share in the comments if something happened for you, or if you felt resistance, or if you felt like, you didn't feel anything. Totally fine. Nothing's right or wrong. Let us know.
I am thankful.
Oh, I love it. I'm
listening.
Nice.
Brenda says, I am relieved.
Oh, beautiful. Cool. Thank you so much for doing that with me and being open. Yeah, so that's kind of how I would show embodiment, or how I would explain embodiment without being in a room and being virtual, without being able to see everybody or answer questions directly, but just simply taking whatever that thing is that's pulling you out of the present moment, pulling you away from your peace, pulling you away from knowing that you're available for feeling good, and shifting it into something that you can then start to feel. Like, let it just sink into your body. Yeah. Amazing. I am healthy. Yes, that's an important one.
Yeah. And one of the things that I liked, that during that process, you didn't just stop with kind of creating the script. You took us into that space of, can you feel what that feels like? And that's a lot of times, going back to Dr. Joe Dispenza, that's what he says, that is kind of like that missing point to really taking these thoughts and these kind of wishes that we have and starting to actually affect change in our bodies. Mm-hmm. We have to feel it. Like, we have to sense that sensation.
Yeah. Ooh, it's so cool. I'm supported and thankful for moments like this. Yes.
Yeah. And I know that she had a question for you too, that maybe you can come back and answer, but she's curious about Reiki training. So maybe afterwards you can come back and connect with her on that.
Amazing. Yeah, that's really great. I felt it. Thanks. Cool. Beautiful. Woo! So awesome. So cool. Like, kind of just going back to what we were talking about in the beginning about being a hairdresser and having all these unique gifts that sometimes we're not even aware of. Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful to start to discover that power that we have. And, Reiki is such a beautiful tool, and learning more from teachers and such like that to be able to really activate and use what we have. Everything's already within us. So you don't have to wait. I would also encourage you to do that. Like, you don't have to wait to go to a class. You don't have to wait to become a Reiki master. You don't have to wait to do all these things. If that's something you want to pursue, totally go for it. Highly recommend. But also know that you already have it in you. Like, your hands have so much energy moving through them. You have so much power within you already, just simply by shifting your belief system about, do I? Yes, I do. And just starting to use that will change so much for your day. It's going to change so much for your experiences and just how you feel in general. And just start, just start there with a simple acknowledgement to yourself that you're very powerful.
Yeah. How do we continue to work with it? Because like everything, it's not like if you just do a 5-minute meditation once, it's not like, oh, okay, I'm rid of that old belief. So it takes some time, I'm sure. So how do we continue that process to continue to shift that belief system?
I think it really just takes a want and a willingness, like an inner strength, like an inner willingness to keep practicing, keep trying. I'm a very goal-oriented person. So if you're anything like me, hey, some people are like, I don't want goals. I just want to be free and not float through it, and I'm like,
That's me.
I envy you because I do not operate that way. Like the reason I seem maybe so free is because I'm very structured. But I give myself goals. So if you're new to meditation, or if you're new to mindfulness, or if you're new to observing yourself and you're like, whoa, this is crazy, give yourself a goal. Say, every day I'm going to set my timer for 1 minute and I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to breathe for 1 minute. Or I'm going to download an app, or you can I have a free meditation album that we're going to give you the link to. And you can try that out. I actually made it just for you because I knew that hairdressers I wasn't going to get you with a 20-minute meditation. So I created a 3-part meditation album that is 3 to 5 minutes, and it helps you go through your day. So actually that's
so cool.
kind of perfect that I set that up. But that'll help you. It's one for the morning, one for the afternoon if you get all frazzled, and then one at the end of the day to just decompress yourself and let go of all the stuff that you might have picked up on. But yeah, just a continuation of practice, and hold yourself accountable. Just set a reminder in your calendar that says, hey, meditate right now. And meditation doesn't have to be, a lot of people think, well, I've got to have like a cushion and the incense and like the whole thing.
Yeah.
When I first started learning meditation from my great uncle, who was actually had a guru in India in the 60s, like he is like, everything he said, I'm like, what? This is not what I thought. Like, what? This is not like, this isn't like the woo. And he's like, nope, you're breathing, you're meditating, you're focusing on your breath, you're meditating. Like, stop overcomplicating. Stop like making it so hard. Stop doing this. Your mind is trying to make this so much harder than it is. And so I started to get the hint that meditation can be always. So it doesn't have to be, I'm going to set aside this time and do that. In the beginning, it might help you just because our minds are so powerfully programmed, and you'll start to realize that. But yeah, just simply do like a minute, and then you'll start to love it. So you'll start to be meditating in all ways, like driving your car. I'm like, oh, I'm not breathing. I'm going to focus on my breath. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to focus on like the road. And, that's a form of meditation. So all of those moments, it might sound like, okay, you're telling us nothing, but in those moments, you will start to realize all the things that you're looking for. You'll start to realize all of the things that are playing in the background of your mind, and it'll be more quick to shift. And it's kind of like a game. I think of it like a video game, like we're just playing a game. Yeah.
One of the things, there's a young, he's a Tibetan Buddhist monk named Yongyi Mingyur Rinpoche, and he's one of the people that have definitely spoken to me, and his talks about meditation are so beautiful because basically he's like, stop wanting something, stop wanting anything. And he'll be like, okay, we're going to do this meditation, and it's going to be a 2-part meditation. And the first part, I'm going to just kind of take you in, and it's just going to be pretty mellow. Like, we're just going to do a little exploration. And then part 2, we're going to go really deep. And he's like this super cute little dude that just is like kind of cheeky. And so he starts walking you through the meditation, and he's like, okay, so just exactly what you did. let's just start to notice the breath coming in and out of our nose. Oh yeah, how does it feel? What's the smells around you? What is it, the sounds around you? Oh, what was that thought that just went through your head? Don't block it. Let it be there. Recognize it. And so he kind of like takes us through, and like you're doing all this. And then he gets to the end. He's like, okay, now we're going to go into the second part, the really deep part. And he just starts chuckling and he's like, I tricked you. We're already in the second part. And it was awesome because it was like, you know, from someone that's such a like meditation master, you're thinking that he's about to open the keys to the gates of like, you're going to start floating off your mat or something. And he's like, this is meditation. Like so many people come into meditation wanting an experience, wanting to overcome something, wanting to change something. And like you said, goals are great, but sometimes it's almost like the more we push ourselves to try to change those things, the more we obsess over them, the further we actually get away from them. And just these Corey mentioned it, like you can call them micro meditations, those 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, where you're just taking notice and just being aware of space. Even like you can just start to become aware of the sounds in the room. Like if you just close your eyes and just start to take awareness to the sounds that are in the room and just being present to those sounds, guess what? You're meditating. That's meditation. It's so cool. It doesn't have to be hard or tricky, you know?
Yeah. And there's something to be said about detaching from expectations, because as soon as we have this idea and this expectation of something and we think it's going to be like this and it's not, then we're like, it didn't work. Like this isn't working. This isn't right. And just feeling like what it feels like to be in the present moment for the first time, you start to realize, oh, like there's something here, there's something there. Like if you've ever been to a yoga class and you get into Savasana and you're laying there and you're like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Like I'm not moving, I'm not having to do anything anymore. It's like you're in the present moment because you're so relaxed, you've let go of all of the mind stuff, all of the things, because you're so tired that you're just like, okay, I can just be. And when you hear, you know, the music coming on and the things, it's like that can be in your regular life. And, you know, I'm also a yoga teacher. Just add that to my list of things. I don't know. It's really weird that I have so many things that I do.
I love it. Like I'm so inspired by you because I'm kind of, don't get me wrong, maybe it's the Capricorn part, but I'm like kind of the same way. Like I want to be a yoga teacher, Reiki master, coach, hairdressing, motorcycle riding, photographer. Like I want to be it all. So I don't know, is that a Capricorn thing?
It definitely is.
Okay,
like,
cool.
Definitely. I'd love to see your chart though, because then there's probably other things. But yeah, I feel like just doing things you love also helps you to be in the present moment. And that's something that I do teach on a lot, and I help a lot of my my mentees and people who are part of my community is like, when you're in a place of joy or you're in that place of service where you feel really good, it's easier to be in the present moment. And it might not even be your job. It might be just that you're doing things that you enjoy, or hobbies, or, you know, not doing things that people tell you should do, and doing things you want to do. And you just find, at least I find it's much more easy to do these practices when I'm more in alignment, and it will bring you into more alignment, right? Like, if I believed that I couldn't be a yoga teacher, a mom, a Reiki master, a hairdresser, a salon owner, a podcast host, I probably wouldn't.
That's true.
I just wouldn't be it. I'd be something else. And I also believe in creating space for things, like you're talking about creating all this space. When we start creating space, meaning we're letting go of some of this heaviness that's not necessary in our minds, we create so much space to invite other things in. And maybe those other things that you're inviting in are more relaxation. Maybe these things you're inviting in are more downtime with your family. It doesn't have to be so career oriented. And I think that's important for people to know too, is when people would say stuff like that to me, like, you do all these things, that's me. Like, that's my joy. It's what I want. And it's not for everyone. And so comparing, I think that's a huge thing in the hairdressing industry, is we get really wrapped up in comparing ourselves to other people. And we don't even do it on purpose. We just really like what other people are doing. We're inspired by other people. But it doesn't mean that you have to do what they're doing to feel the way that they feel, right? Because I think we all often can get so are kind of inspired by the energy that person has, right? Like Sambia. Like, I don't know that I want to do all the things Sambia is doing. You think I'm doing a lot of stuff. That man doing so much stuff, but I am inspired by his enthusiastic zest for life and pure joy for giving and sharing and being in his zone of genius. But I don't want to be Sambia, and I don't want to do that, but I want to see, well, what does he do that brings that out? And so that can be meditation too, right? Like, observe instead of be like, oh, I wish I had what those people had. It's like, observe, what is it that you like about that? And how could you apply that similar energy to your life?
Yeah. And sometimes, honestly, Kelly, I almost think that's a little bit of the danger sometimes of mentorship. It's something that we talk a lot about, like when I worked with Paul Mitchell Hair Schools, and when I do talk to school students, I think it's so important to have mentors and people that you look up to. But it's also so important to recognize that it's not about emulating your mentors. It's about kind of exactly what you're saying. Absorb that essence, absorb what they've done to get to that place. But then the next step is that you do those things in your own way. You do those things with your own energy, like your own source. And, it is super important that it becomes your own, because that's what's going to make it real. It, just as you were talking, it reminded me of the conversation we had with Marquetta Breslin last week and her husband, Ricky, because we were kind of talking about stepping up into Instagram and YouTube and all those things and kind of like the fears around it. And really what it came down to was, if you're doing it authentically, if you're doing it because you love it, and it's because your purpose is to serve, then all the other stuff kind of goes away. Like, things just happen so beautifully if we're working from our own authenticity. But if you're out there trying to replicate someone else's material just because you think it's going to get you more likes or more shares, you're not going to feel good when producing that kind of content. You're not going to feel good being in that place. So it has to be your own.
100%. And it's so funny that I'm even here talking to you right now, to be honest, because when I first decided that I was going to skip out on being an educator and teaching balayage and like grow that brand, that part of myself, and it was really hard. It was really hard to let go of. I was very attached to it. Like, a very well-known educator actually had a heart-to-heart with me and said, do you feel like you're disconnected from the hairdressing community because you're not teaching hair anymore? And at that time, I was really focused on teaching meditation and mindfulness and all these tools that I had learned. And I was like, you know what? I haven't even thought about that, but I feel more connected to the hairdressing industry now than I did then. It sounds really strange, but to the point of doing your own thing, when I decided to do it, everyone said, I pitched my ideas to even brands and things like that. And they're like, it's just, you're a little ahead of your time. They didn't say it was bad or wrong. They're like, it's a little ahead of you're ahead of your time. Like, people aren't quite ready for this depth that you have to share. And it's a little, I heard it's too woo woo. People just, it doesn't really fit our voice. And I'm like, okay, but I didn't quit. I kept going and I kept doing it, and I kept letting go of the belief systems that it was never going to fit in the beauty industry, that it was never going to fit in the hairdressing community, that it wasn't the narrative that was going to work. And so I had to let that go. And the more I let it go and replaced it with what I really wanted, which was, I know that this has helped me, and I know this is the only reason I am where I am and how I am. It has to be shared. Like, it has to be shared. It brought me more and more into alignment with people who are helping me now connect it with other hairdressers like you. Because before, when I was trying so hard, so hard, I wasn't aligning because I wasn't being myself. I was trying to dull it down. I was trying to make it more quiet. I was trying to make it more like da, da, da. And then once I let that go, I started finding other hairdressers who were more in alignment with my mission, and they existed. I just couldn't match them yet because I hadn't let enough of my own belief systems go. About being judged or about being like questioned or all of these things. So, if you have an idea, just do it. Just keep going with it.
Yeah.
I love it.
If you make it authentic and you make it real, it's going to work.
This is awesome. Somebody said, I have similar desires. I love that. Kaliza, I feel like there's so many hairdressers out there that we have so much more in common than we do in different. And I love on social media now how hairdressers are starting to share more of their voice and their face, like who you are, and so that we can connect more in community. When it's just all hair, it's beautiful, and I love seeing people's hairstyles, but that community aspect, you at least throw yourself in there once in a while, because when I'm looking at people's profiles, I love to see like who you are and you look like, and it's really great.
Yeah. 5-6 years ago, when we were teaching classes on social media to hairdressers, we were like, keep it professional, show your work. Now we're like, show your work, but show yourself. Like, people, Sam, it says people buy people and then they buy things. So it's like, and especially right now, people are looking for that human connection. So now it's kind of like, no, show yourself, like show who you are and what you're about. It's so important. It's so cool.
Yeah, it is. But we have to get out of our own way to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And we're coming along. I think this last 6 months of having to, we don't even know it, but we've been in active observation mode of our own thoughts, being locked down and being shut out of our salons. And, for some people, it might have deepened your like surrender of like, okay, I'm going to enjoy this time. I'm going to relax. It's going to be fine. And you were already doing it. Like that's doing it. And if you felt resistance to it and like a lot of fear, at some point you probably found that place of like, everything's going to work out fine. And it always does, but we have to kind of let go of all that really hard stuff that's in us of lack and fear and not enough.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you such an inspiration to so many people, and I think today you made quite a few new fans too that might not have connected to you before. So you can check in with Kelli. Instagram is Limitless Soul Life. You can go to limitlesssoullife.com for more information on is it the Limitless Soul Collective? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Limitless Collective. And I see a lot of you asking, like, how can we connect? Love to learn more. On October 21st, I'm doing a really cool free live gathering. I've never done this before in my entire life. There's going to be hundreds of people there. I'm super kind of nervous, but really excited. And you can come to that. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see it when we go live. We'll be starting to talk about it on October 9th. And then October 22nd to November 1st, we'll be opening up our membership community. It's a really affordable monthly price where you'll get to hang out with me live 2 to 3 times a month. I'll do live mentoring sessions. We do a lot of work with energy and astrology and healing, and you'll learn all kinds of different things that are very practical and applicable to your life and to your business. I use like elemental wisdom, like fire, air, earth, water, and how you can work with elements in your business.
Nice.
It's super fun. It's so cool. So I'll be opening that up on October 22nd, and then you can come hang out at a free class with me on the 21st. So keep an eye out for that. And then, yeah, we're starting to do 2 podcasts a week. So on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah. And there's like amazing people coming on who are so inspiring and have done really creative things with their businesses and with their missions and their visions for the future, and have everything we've talked about today, like honing your own talents and really expressing your gifts through business. They are all doing that in just really incredible, unique ways and making a big impact. So, and then Tuesdays, you can catch me on the podcast and I teach. So that is what I got going on.
Nice. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I just had to bring this up because this is awesome.
My name is No way!
How rad is that?
That's awesome. I love it. That's so cool.
You were meant to be here tonight.
Seriously, that alignment.
Serious.
The
universe makes it happen.
Yes. Oh, I love that everybody can talk. Hi, Corey. I see Corey over there commenting. Hi, Corey. I'm a fan. I need to text you back. I'm the worst. I know. I am like the worst at my text messages. Email, you can catch me because I'm like always on my email. Text messages, and I'm just like so bad. I have like 132 unread text messages, and I'm not lying.
I feel like that's a limiting belief of yours. We need to work on
I need to help me. Help me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kelli, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I apologize. I messed up. I did not get the link for the 3-part meditation into the description. But guys, come back to this episode. We'll put the link in, and just know that you can come back to this episode as often as you want. So you can go through that meditation that we just did through the actual episode. But then we'll also put the link to the 3-part meditation album that Kelli has into the description so that you guys can work with that too.
Yep. And it's also in the link in our bio on Instagram if you want to grab it there. Yeah, there's a bunch of free stuff in our bio as well. I have a bunch of resources and tools. I have a ton of free stuff. I like giving away free stuff all the time. So you can find all kinds of resources from me. I'm like a content machine. See, I reprogrammed that limiting belief that I wouldn't be able to produce enough content. And I'm like,
awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for spending your time with us this evening. Kelli, thank you again from all of us here at Samvia, and we'll look forward to the next time that we can have you on another Wellness Wednesday.
I loved it. Thank you so much. I'm honored. It's great to meet all of you. I'm going to go look at the comments later because I want to come say hi, and yeah, come hang out with me, and great to meet you.
Beautiful. All right. We'll see you all later.